This is the 2024 Honda Civic Hatchback Sport Touring. Is it the best hatchback sedan? Hey everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. I hope you're having a great day. Today, Carrie and I are at Holmes Honda, and we're going to give you all the particulars on this trim level. If you want to know more about this model that has an exterior color of smoky mauve, let me say that V with an accent on it so you know I'm not saying Mo. It could sound that way very easily. Smoky mauve is the name of this exterior color. Check out the link down in the description of the video and tell whoever you talk to that Tom from Vehicle Visionary sent you their way. So let's dig into this model. If you are a fanatic about LED lighting, well, you're going to be happy here because we not only have LED daytime running lights, we have LED headlights, and down here on the lower portion of the bumper might be a little hard to see in the bright Louisiana sunshine, but there are the nice bright LED fog lights. And we'll work our way over here. Wouldn't it be interesting if something that we see on a lot of high-end luxury brands, you saw it here as well, maybe some accent lighting around the grille? Somebody might say, I'd love to have that, until they saw the price and they'd probably say, never mind. It's kind of funny how that works, isn't it? But you do have the nice upper and lower grille. The Honda logo right here that actually is the perfect size. Not too big, but not too small at the same time. And one thing about the Civic, it only comes in front wheel drive, but for most people, that's going to get the job done. Let's talk about our tire and wheel size. We're looking at 235 on our width. That tread pattern right there, the sidewall size is going to be a 40 series wrapped around those nicely done gloss black wheels. And let me show you something here as well. We're going to have the remote. The main thing people want to know about, I think, with these remotes more often than not is, does it have remote start? You can see that it indeed does. That's right there, easy to deal with. And how about our side view mirrors? A lot going on here. Now, they are manually folding, in case somebody doesn't know how to manually fold a side view mirror. I have had people ask about that in the past, only one time, but they did ask. So now you know how to manually fold the side view mirror. Body colored mirror caps, turn signal indicators built in. That's a favorite among a lot of people. They're also heated, power adjustable, and you will find your blind spot information system there as well, or blind spot monitoring as we often like to call it, just out of habit. Body color on the door handles. You do have that proximity key. It has the walk-away feature, all of those great features and functionalities that I know a lot of you are after on your vehicles. They're all here. A very nice look back here with the sloping lines of the rear window that work their way down. You kind of have really somewhat of a built-in spoiler that's just part of the design here, nothing added or anything like that. But again, with that LED lighting theme for the LED must-haves out there, you're also going to have LED tail lights back here, and the Civic logo right there, and prominently displayed here to let everybody know what trim level you have. There is that Sport Touring logo, and I like the fact that you have the exhaust outlets right here. Now, everything comes to the outlet right here, but it's not exactly connected. But I think I'd rather have that than just a faux exhaust back here where it looks like there's some kind of an exhaust outlet, but there isn't actually anything here. You'll also find the small rear diffuser back here, but I think that fits for the size of the vehicle. And under the hood, what do we have? The 1.5 liter direct injection turbocharged 4-cylinder. But in this car, I believe it's going to get the job done and still be a lot of fun to drive. Even though you only have 180 horsepower and 177 on the torque, it's still a blast to drive because of the way the suspension and the chassis are tuned on this generation of the Civic. CVT, yes, that's what you have in this particular case. I know a lot of people are going to grimace over that. In fact, I'm going to the wrong side of the car here. Let's go over here and talk about our MPGs now that I've told you about the CVT. Okay, that was really corny, wasn't it? I'll let Carrie show you the sticker right there. As far as the MPGs go, let me give you that information. We're going to be looking at 30 city, 37 highway, 33 combined. You know, that's actually very impressive for a vehicle that is not hybrid. You'll also find a 12.4 gallon gas tank. And let's talk about practical usability. Now, you don't have a hands-free hatchback here, but when you lift it up just a little bit, the dampening does take over and it goes right up. Now, you'll notice a couple of things here. You have the cargo cover right here, and when you have the cover right here in place that Kerry says reminds him of a hammock, I think of an old school shade that you'd pull down in houses a long time ago. Some of you would have to look that up to know what that is because you aren't old enough to know. We're dating ourselves here, I guess, as far as our ages go. Now let's see if I can get this in there. A little bit tricky to do sometimes. See, get in there. There we go. So obviously you can get that out of the way. I do like this design because in some vehicles that we've reviewed in the past, such as Buicks, it's in this area. It's part of the hatch area, but it's just kind of in the way. You can remove it, but I like that because it's functional, but it's not in the way. Obviously, there are some design differences that help make that possible. And cargo capacity, 24.5 cubic feet. There is a spare tire underneath the floor. That's good news. You also have all the tools to change a tire. I've got those seats folded down to show you what everything looks like maximized. A little bit of lighting back here. Not too much to talk about, but I don't think anybody is going to buy a Civic looking for a ridiculous amount of features in this back area. But if you wanted to add something, what would it be? And let's talk about the interior. We'll start here with the back seat, and we'll start with the door panel over there. I'm gonna let Kerry show you what's going on there. First of all, we do the armrest test, and Kerry always gives us the thumbs up, the neutral thumb, or the thumbs down, and lets us know, kind of midway. So a little bit neutral on that as far as the comfort level goes. Maybe size, but since you're the driver, you're most likely going to be driving the Civic, not a big deal. The door bin right there, really more of a bottle holder than a door bin, but there is some space there. There is some gloss black material up there. I think that's fine. No issues with fingerprinting. And the silver door handle, that's always a plus because you definitely could fingerprint that up pretty easy. Now, you only have one rear seat pocket back here. Not really thinking that's too big of a deal. It might be nice to see one on both sides just to increase storage space for smaller items. You have a small interior here, so the lack of air conditioning vents on the rear of the center console I don't believe is going to be an issue. The good news, you do have a couple of USB options here, so that's helpful. The seats themselves, well, you can't recline those. They're basically in one stationary position, but they do have some recline built in, so that's a good thing. And then the fold-down armrest. Might be good to have that sit up a little bit higher because I have to kind of lean down and almost look like I forgot to drink my V8. Some of you need to Google the V8 commercial to know what I'm talking about as to why I'm leaning to the side and saying that. But cup holders here, armrest works, but with those cup holders being in the position they are, when you have bottles in there, well, the arm's going to have to just be a little further back or just not use it as an armrest because, well, obviously that would be in the way. I like to see the models that have the cup holders here in a vertical position. Not the end of the world necessarily, just something that we noticed. Last but not least, before we hop into the front seat area, let's talk about the roof area. Number one, you do have the sunroof up there. It is conventional size. And speaking of size, I'm sitting straight up here and you can see I do have some space above my head. If you're over 6 feet tall, you could probably slouch down a little bit. Some of that's going to depend on the position of the front seats. These are fairly far back. There is a reasonable amount of room back here as far as my leg space goes. All right, if you came into Holmes Honda and said, I want that Civic that was in Tom and Kerry's video, how much will it cost? $33,000 even. So you know what that means? It's not $33,005, so I can't offer to pay the $5 extra for you. I do that just for fun in these videos, but one day somebody's going to take me up on it. I'm going to have to rush to the dealership to give them their $5. Let's see what we have with the door panel over there. Now you'll find a little bit more space with not only the door bin, but with the armrest. So let's see what Kerry's verdict is over there. Is it better? Is it the same as the rear seating area? Apparently it's better. We got a thumbs up there. And the same basic design as far as the layout goes. You have everything as far as your gloss black trim goes and the silver door handle. Now something that is obviously going to be a must here, even though the price here isn't ridiculous, this is the high trim level. Power seats for the driver and the passenger. Both are heated And both are very comfortable, actually. You have the bolstering right here. That's going to help out when driving around like you're driving a race car, if you want to do that in a safe place to do so, probably outside of the city limits. So that way you don't have Kerry pulling you over if you're driving through Bossier City, because he will do that. We'll have Kerry go ahead and hop over here into the interior, by the way, and we'll take a look at what we have with the interior. Now let's go take a look at the dashboard there. You're going to have a really clean and consistent look across the dash. You can see where the air conditioning vents are simply by the fact that you have the adjustments right here. But other than that, it's pretty much the same thing. And Siri thinks she wants to be in a Vehicle Visionary video. But you can see the clean look all the way across. And we'll have our 9-inch touchscreen right here. I know a lot of people say that that 9 inches is too small in a Honda Pilot. What do you think about here in the Civic? And you can see right here, you have built-in navigation. But if you don't want to use that, you can wirelessly pair your smartphone with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. You have your vehicle settings right here that will allow you to go in and make a lot of adjustments and a lot of changes to the vehicle depending on what you need to do. When I go into reverse, we get our multi-view rear view camera. We're going to have 3 different views where that's concerned. Would you be willing to pay for it if it was available to have all of the different views that are available on the Pilot right now? Some people might say yes to that. And something that we're kind of calling old school these days, a knob for controlling the functionality of the radio, turning that on and off and adjusting the volume. Dual zone climate control here in the front. You can sync those together. I'm going to turn that heated seat off so I don't burn up. We're headed for the 80s today, I think, in Northwest Louisiana. If you're cold where you live, put your hands up to the screen. You can warm up like you're warming up at a fire. And down here, we have USB options. We also have the 12-volt power outlet, and we'll also have the wireless charging pad. That wireless charging pad could be moved over, and there would probably be room for a second. Well, maybe not in this case. I guess now that I look at that, yeah, there's not really room for 2 up there, but when there are room for 2, I think that's what all automakers should do. Here is your conventional shifter, pretty easy to deal with there. You do have a drive mode selector. You can turn off or on, depending on your preference, the auto stop start feature, or what's called idle stop. There's your power parking brake, easy to deal with. Pull that back to turn it on. Move it forward with the when you put your foot on the brake pedal, it goes off. There's brake hold mode and your cup holders. I have a cup in the cup holders right there. Seems to fit decently well. And the center armrest here that doubles as the lid for the console, or maybe it's the other way around, but you can see what's there. You also have the little tray right here that can be put in 2 different spots or left out altogether, and that way you can get a better look at the interior of the center console. And last but not least, let's go to the upper console and see what we find up there. You do have the tilt and slide feature for your sunroof. It is power. You can see all of your features here. You have your map lights and no conversation mirror, but you do have a sunglass holder.
Welcome to Kerry's Driving Lounge. Kerry here. This is going to be the Honda Civic edition today. Let's get into this and see let's hunt and peck our way through this and see what's going on. Driver's door. Here's the handle Tom talked about to get in and out of the vehicle. You have your mirror controls, left and right mirror control, door lock and unlock button, the window lock and unlock, and your controls for your mirrors up and down. Auto on both sides in the front, but not in the back. There's your pocket for your bottles of water that Tom talked about. Let me open this door for a second. Ignore the ding. We have the dimmer switch switch for the gauge cluster, your parking sensors, your safety and security around your vehicle for collision mitigation and those type of things. Stability control button for off and on. A couple dead buttons there. Down here you have the latch for the hood release. There's a dead pedal there for your left foot, and you have silver surround gas and brake pedals. There's the lever there for your tilt, telescope, and steering wheel. We all know how to use that. Steering wheel feels really good in the hand. It's not too thick, not too thin. Feels very much like the Accord steering wheel. 3-spoke wheel. I like 3-spoke wheels. I don't see a heated steering wheel option on this. Here's your lever for your turn signal. Left turn signal does work. Right turn signal does work. Make sure you use them. Your light controls for auto, park, and headlights, and your fog light switches right there. On the right side, there's your stock for your wiper controls, intermittent, and your rear wiper, including your sprayer on there. Also, you have paddle shifters here. Here's your up paddle shifter, and here's your down paddle shifter on the left side. On the left side of the steering wheel column control here, you have the volume up and down for the radio, and the channel selection forward and backward there, and your voice control right there with a little roll wheel to control things on that side. On the right side of the steering column spoke, you have the cruise control, activation, reset and set, your distance from the vehicles in front of you, and your lane departure mitigation. You have a drive mode controller right here, which you flip forward and backwards, and I will show you on the screen. On the bottom there, it says Econ. There's a little leaf right there for people who want to help conserve the environment. You have normal, and you have sport. Those are the only options you get for your drive mode controller. Sport is probably going to be the thing most people like. You have a little roll wheel right here that you can roll. I will show you how this works. You can change your gauges on here. So you have round gauges, which are on right now. You have a bar that you can select where all your gauges turn into a bar. If you like, I wouldn't like that personally, but there may be somebody who does. You have round, minimal, same round, but they're different size round. And then you have, let's go back to the gauge design, and you have bar minimal. Let's see what shows up there. And you have minimal bars where your RPMs are on the left side, your speedometer is on the right side in miles per hour, and then you can go back and put it back to your round gauges if you prefer regular round gauges. On the screen here, you have your coolant control, your coolant temperature gauge, you have your RPM gauge, and you have your, let me see here, let's go back to back. There you go. Speedometer. You have your odometer, you have your fuel gauge right there, your seatbelt light that tells you whether your seatbelt's being worn, and your fuel gauge that shows empty to full on the screen there. And what else do we have here? I think we have visors with the little window right there with the light that comes on. That's not a window, that's a mirror. And the visor does stretch out to cover some of that dead space right there next to the driver. Goes in and out. I like that. Grab handles, which I usually have to use on the test drives when Tom drives. Seatbelt height adjustment, I do like those. So if you're tall or short, you don't have to worry about the seatbelt cutting into your neck. You can adjust that up and down as you need for yourself. And this is a very nice interior. Feels very much like the Accord, just on a smaller scale. There's not too much, and there's not enough. I think anybody buying this vehicle who's looking for this particular vehicle would definitely be satisfied with it. That ends it for Carrie's Driving Lounge today. See you next time.
Okay, we're going to get out on the road for a quick test drive. For those of you that noticed that Carrie is not here, he had to go on to his regular job, get home and get ready for that. So that's why you just have me today. Sorry. I promise we're going to have him in more videos as we move forward, and hopefully reviewing some full cars himself. He's doing a good job. I know a lot of you would like to see more of him. Encourage him down in the comments section, but he is doing a great job. Now, as far as driving the Civic, let's talk about what it's like. I mentioned earlier in the video that you have the way that the chassis and the suspension is tuned here on this 11th generation Civic. And for the person right there, I guess they wanted a really close-up look at the front end. You always have those here. I don't know how well you could see that from the camera view, but sometimes that's what you have. Anyway, before I was distracted by that person that just couldn't wait a couple more seconds, the way this 11th generation handles, this 11th generation Civic handles and drives is phenomenal. It really feels to me as if it's just sucking itself down to the road. The handling characteristics are so good. It's so much fun to drive. that you get out on a road that has some twists and turns, you're gonna feel like it's making more horsepower than it really is because it's just so fun to drive. You don't have to have a lot of horsepower to have a good time driving your car. So that's nice to know. Everything here easy to deal with. You really get a lot for what you're paying for as far as this vehicle goes. The price point is good. Quite a few features, but the thing I like is that there's a good balance of enough, but not too much. At least that's the way I see it. And the technology here is very easy to learn and very easy to use. And you can see that I have the screen is set up with Apple CarPlay. I don't have the ability to use Android Auto because I don't have an Android device. But for those who would like to see something a little bit different on the infotainment screen, well, there you go. And when you need to accelerate, you can do that. It's not going to exactly be mind-blowing performance at 180 horsepower, but you know what? When you need to get down the road and get up to speed, you can. Not a big deal. The ride quality is good. It's definitely above the level of what I would call being just acceptable. It may not be butter smooth like a Cadillac, but I tell you what, it still does a great job. And these seats seem like they would be pretty comfortable for a couple of hours or so, 2 or 3 hours, which is typically what a lot of people are going to drive before they take a break. I think you would be just fine in that respect. That's at least my guess, basically, because of the fact that, well, I don't get to drive for that long. But one way or another, I think the Civic is a very well-rounded vehicle. Its size makes it very maneuverable. It has a nice tight turning radius, and that means that if you live in a large city and this is a vehicle that will fit your needs, you definitely won't have to worry about any issues as far as being able to get around the big city with traffic. I know some people don't like driving a larger vehicle in large cities. That can be kind of challenging. When it's all said and done, there's a lot of potentials here with the Civic. Tell me what your thoughts are. Is there one thing that you wish was available on this particular model of the Civic Hatchback that isn't here? Curious to know. So tell me what you think about the 2024 Honda Civic Hatchback Sport Touring. Is it the best hatchback sedan? Tell me what your thoughts are down in the comments section. I do want to say a special thanks to our friends here at Holmes Honda for loaning us this Civic Hatchback for the day. And a special thanks to each and every one of you for being kind enough to give us the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button. That's helpful to us. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so just yet. That way you don't miss any future videos. And if you would like to learn about additional vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and we'll see you there.